Yeah, Vanguards have taken much more of a...
Sentinels, they were struggling keeping their backline alive, so their adjustment is not the Vanguards, like you mentioned. It's just swapping to heroes that can survive. And Rocket Raccoon running around with the double dash, right? You play Jeff, you play Ultron. Now they're set up for a dive right now with it's Jeff, potentially from the Captain America.
Yeah, I think this is the
Nemesis. You would think, okay, you know, with Jeff, we want him on the flank and kind of on the back line. But unfortunately, because they're forced to play Cloak and Dagger, they're just always playing together as a unit. They're really trying to take advantage of these Terra Capes, but that's forcing characters that I think do good on flank angles to play as a good ship. I think that whale is a big one, right? The way forward for Nemesis who's a Median, either finding a pick or just, you know, most of the time going to be with that whale to counter Renko. But Renko's coming with his Jeff already. Where is he going?
I'm just going to wait this
across
out.
map. Wait, what?
Yeah.
Wait, just second for the point. Interesting.
That has potential.
I don't know if using it to just reposition is exactly the way forward, but we'll see what happens for Sentinels, right? They still have time on the clock. They do prioritize this point, right? Putting them in a weird position. Now they come in with Ultron's Rage, but the Nemesis live. They have Whale ready to go, and who's coming out of an ultimate in a second? It will be Aramori, who's now on Cloak and Dagger. Bringing him towards the outside, who has that Hulk available. Melophobia trying to go for the counter E2, comes back to the point. They're able to get Kraz, who had an ult. Nobody's gonna, well, they have the portal from Median, so they can stall it out for a while here, Shib, as Avery finds Dinks, though. That's a big pick.
Yeah, and they come in heavy with Scatter on Emma now to try to buy more time, but at this point, you're on your heels. They have two ults ready for Sentinels. Gray's going to come back in as Hulk now. No real ult to be able to eat anyone. Back on the point again, but Renko gets a two-piece there with the It's Jeff on the Scatter and Dinks. Aramori going to rest Renko right back, so that even gets more value. It's a 2-for-nothing trade. Melophobia going to find Crimzo. Make it 2, though, on a Techie. Melophobia retaking this position, even being down in numbers, and that is raw talent. Make it 3. Still going now. Melophobia on this Bucky, clearly showing why this selection was made.
Yeah, nice work from Melo. That's a 4-piece in that fight. And because, like you mentioned, with that Kraken impact, as well as his E taking out that Ultron, slows down anything Sentinels probably could do. Renko's, it's Jeff. Unfortunately, not enough. Maybe if he lived, maybe if he just spit them off the map, but the death box is a bit further down.
Towards the end, there is 3 there on the Scatter, Ricky, and Dinks. What a reset, but a Median again on a Crimson. Nectar going to find a Median, though, to turn that right back. And once again, 2 down for Sentinels through that fight outside of Renko, but they do manage to get the point due to some solid follow-up there by Nectar.
Yeah, huge job from him. And then also, yeah, like you said, Renko, big eat off the map. That's what we talk about Jeff being one of the best heroes in this patch, if not the best hero, it seems like, for how much he does with that It's Jeff. But in this upcoming fight, both Vanguards having ultimates with Kraz and Scatter. They all through. You've got to get those clones out of the way if you want to win this fight. Otherwise, it is a free win with full equipment set up on the high side, and they're going to use that to their advantage and hold Sentinels tight. Really well done here by Nemesis. At this point, I have no doubt they should be holding this through the end of overtime, and they do. Yeah, lists, but still incredibly strong at this level. And when you drop that domain, when you drop those crystals, you know that everybody in that is essentially reset, especially because it can cancel out ultimates. There's just so much value in that, and that will never change. Right now, I think Sentinels just kind of making some positioning errors, right? Not even ults involved until that whale. Now here they come with an Ultron's Rage, forces out Cloak and Dagger. Ultimate, at least. That's something that you'll be pretty happy with. But here comes this Jeff. Afterwards, catches you. But it's mega again by Kraken Impact. Everybody's thinking at such a high level. Melophobia countering basically the third chain in that thought process. Yeah, everything has changed since this switch here by Melophobia, just holding on to the backline and not allowing all this value to come through from Sentinel's more aggressive playstyle. But as I'm saying that, Nectar going to find one in the off angle. That's a dangerous position for a Median who just jukes it naturally. Does fall from Crimzo after the fact. Good shot, Crimzo, as Techie gets one. Avery now, and Crimzo again on Craze. And that's an early enough retake to where it cannot be as much of a threat for Sentinels in their mental. There's still time to retake a few times here, where it's not at something like 70%, where the portal becomes a conversation. Yep, huge job by them. However, you know, you always mention how many ultimates get invested on the opposite side. Sentinels have only that Venom ultimate. Obviously, Ultron Rage built up quickly, but here's that early copy. They know they have the advantage. Want to go fast in terms of Nemesis. Yeah, and here we go. As the Feast of the Abyss gets popped, there's no major damage boost there to help that out besides Aramori with a Terror Cloak, but is going to reset and not hold on long. Gets KO'd immediately by the Melophobia from downtown. And once again, Nemesis walking right back in, sweeping forward and getting control of the point. Cray is going to
out Crimson now walking forward, who only fell one time last map. Scatter gonna find one in trance down forward as Nectar goes down, and they are gonna clean up the rest. But again, Techie gonna find Melophobia early on in this fight. Sentinels need to keep doing that now. We're getting to that 70% where it gets a little easier for them to take this home. Armor gonna commit though with the Eternal Bond, keeping the team healthy on point, biding time, and at this point being up a number. The whale, does that land? Armor gets a two-piece there onto Amadian and Ricky. Dinks falls to Nectar. Nectar again onto Scatter. Cray's gonna reset, and we might see a potential portal play here, but we might see a potential cancel if possible from Nectar.
Yep, huge pick off from Renko and Techie to come together, really harass Mello, then eventually go for that one shot. Mello on that left side of Jeff. Yeah, that was very impressive.
Far more impactful here than a ladder or vice versa. Hero ultimates that are massive. It's just the littlest bit of change at this level of play is enough for your team to win, as Nectar now going to walk towards Craze and deal a ton of damage. Craze going to be likely Bruce. Oh my god, the positioning's insane. Well done, and that's an early pick now as we go again. Out goes the shield to hold on. Ton of damage out on the front line, still being matched, but Sentinels are walking forward and now have the pressure, holding some really good positioning as Craze makes in that off angle with Bruce.
Yeah, that's brutal lose that Jeff early, but a huge hook for Melophobia. Eventually,
Line is more scattered, and you really only have a shield there from Emma, which, you know, is not, it's more of a selfish style shield. It doesn't buy your backline a ton of confidence to move forward, and we're seeing that now as Nectar's getting a ton of damage out in the field and just keeping eyes on Hulk at all times, providing a ton of pressure so that Hulk can't go out to the backline. Very similar to what you're seeing from Melophobia here on the Bucky, walking forward now with a double, I think, invisible boundaries. Yes, it is. Excuse me, Sentinels do not have a boundary. It's going to be matched right back by Crimzo and Nectar up in the sky with the combo. Does not land.
About how they do a good job at, you know, countering out the Jeff, in which we assume Jeff is so good, but if a team is good at countering him, we'll see if it pans out long-term for Team Nemesis.
Yeah, I mean, it has worked so far in this map specifically, which again, I don't think is the strongest Jeff map, just due to the nature of not having a ton of off-map angles, but still, like you said, you can find value, and up we go again. Nectar gonna come in hot onto the high side of Melophobia.
Kranz going over to the Groot now, but that was a huge point from Sentinels to win, and a massive ult by Crimzo with that Meteor M that you mentioned, Shib. I think that, you know, in these compositions too, you rely heavily on your front line, heavily on your Magneto player, and Crimzo, you know, has been solid on Magneto, but I think he's more known for his Groot gameplay, for example.
Techie, and that's a two-piece for the side of Nemesis, holding with 4 ults, make that 3 ults. Do I see some serious work on Armori? That's 1. Now on to Crimzo for the second. That should be a guaranteed reset. Yes, it is. And just going to walk forward and bide as much time before pressing Q again. You got 4 seconds on before you need to.
2 minutes and 30 seconds left to go. Kranz also does have that Groot already. But for a moment, and we
had discussed early. Now they're walking forward with it. Do not forget about that behind you. Team is going to lose 1. Melophobia doing a good job taking out Avery in the sky. Make that 2 as Ricky takes out Techie, and they're going to walk the rest in. Again, good patience by Nemesis, but no ults ready pretty much across the board. Melophobia should be close and scatter in this next fight, whereas nobody will be available for ult in the next fight for Sentinels. So this is going to be a scary Supernova.
Yep, that was a huge heat, but then we saw Avery go too far forward. Yet again, it just feels like Sentinel errors. That one was just capitalized on a force physics from Ricky. This Invisible Woman panning out. Here comes that Sonic Seduction early on. Sentinels, did they disengage it? This time they do. Met by now a late Eternal Bond.
Yeah, it's going to drive them forward, and nobody goes down just yet. And here comes that Groot hug, and that's going to be slammed as Amadian gets 2. Do I hear 3 towards the back line? Yes, we do. Armori goes down. Amadian with that damage boost. Groot is a crazy chase now, and by more time before that spawn comes through. Well done by Renko. Even though it may not have looked as successful, it very much was.
Yep, no ults though on Sentinel side, and Supernova is available, right? Unless they absolutely shut down Melophobia in the sky, which is really hard to do because of what you talked about earlier with these really good torch players that can avoid damage. I mean, he's known as one of them, right? That's the only wing condition. No ultimates on the side of Sentinels. Maybe destroy a backline or something, but they have to shut Melophobia down, and he has all the resources. I mean, Sentinels
leave now. The Strange is going to drop back. I think we're going to see Avery make that change, but I was wondering if no, Avery still has to stay on Strange. We might see an early take here. We're going to have to see a change up with Renko and Armori being the only strategist at the moment, as I believe the portal play was coming through for Avery, but unfortunately essentially gets locked out and commits to it outside of here, and they are going to keep walking. Nemesis is doing exactly what I had mentioned, just using this momentum. Down goes Jeff though. Will this land as we see
Rocket Raccoon? I mean, they know nobody can really find. Well, no, Ricky's going back to the Invisible Woman. Okay, I wonder. Oh no, to give Melophobia the jump, obviously the rocket pack, to make sure he can go for a kidnap. In this upcoming fight, they don't have Invisible Woman to counter Wolverine, so this is a decent change up as well. We haven't seen much Wolverine so far this tournament.
Yeah, only a few times is right. I mean, it does a great job of countering Groot, but now that Invis has been taking a, a push forward in terms of the meta, it makes it more difficult, especially at this level. These Invises understand about utilizing that cooldown to counter and really getting max value out of it, which makes advantage slightly here with Melophobia, Dinks, and Scatter, all popping Q. Crimzo going to take out Melophobia. Post that last stand, Ricky onto Nectar. Here goes another eye from Avery, and it's massive. Will they be able to follow up? They get 2, 3, 4. Yes, they do. Avery is bouncing back like a champion here on this Doctor Strange.
Yeah, this is a huge comeback from Avery, like you mentioned. On this, Doctor Strange has been doing so much work. And also, I mean, it's just back and forth. We saw the Jeff ult get countered by a Kraken Impact, saves his team, sort of breaks the eggshell of the Jeff to save everybody being kidnapped by him. And right now, Meteor M available. Like we said, we need Crimzo to be big with his Meteor M's. Kraz has had huge trailing presence every time. Amadian stunned out in the meantime.
Yeah, this could be another eat potential here from Crimzo. No, a little more patience there from Craze, who did not allow that to happen. Crimzo going to find Dinks and Nectar onto Amadian, though, and that's tough, as we might need to see a portal back here. Scatter going to take out Avery, though. The res could still be up here for Avery. Nectar going to take out Ricky. Nectar again on the Melophobia. Avery is going to res back up and find Scatter, and that could be the swan song here, as Sentinels are absolutely frying once more, and they're going to stall on Craze. The portal not going to be able to come through, I don't believe. Scatter, unless they'll touch it will be able to come through.
You have huge CC, for example, with that